Strategic Management and Strategic Competitiveness, Part 3. In this part, what we're going to talk about is the 21st century competitive landscape and how things are shaping up in the 21st century, what is different in 21st century, and then we'll move on to the factors that are contributing to these changes in the 21st century competitive landscape. First of these, what we need to pay attention to is something called as hyper competition. What we say in hyper competition basically describes the state of competition or the competitive landscape in the 21st century. 21st century competitive landscape is hyper competitive because the competition in this particular century is excessive and creates a lot of instability, and constantly there is a strive for making disruptive changes, and firms are approaching these markets more aggressively. Let it be about the price positioning competition, or creating new know-hows, or establishing new first mover advantages. And previously there used to be a demarcation between one industry and another industry. Competition in one industry was localized to that industry, not spilling over to an adjacent industry. But today, the clear demarcations between one industry and another industry are completely eliminated. Most often, if you look at examples of Uber, Apple, these are all tech companies that are disrupting, making disruptive changes and coming up with innovations that are changing the way certain industries used to operate. For example, Apple with their iPod and iTunes, they changed the face or the way music was purchased, the way people used to listen to music, challenging the incumbent Sony Music, for example, and then the digital cameras and how they challenged Kodak, or the way pictures were taken. And now cell phones, including cameras within them, have wiped away most of the point and shoot cameras. Demand for those cameras is no longer as abundant as it used to be at one point of time. So these are all changes that are happening in the marketplace, and these rapid changes, the inherent instability, excessive competition or aggressive approach to competition, to the competitors, and finally the demarcated lines between one industry and another. All these are things that we are observing today, and in this hyper competitive markets. And what's causing this? Basically, we could categorize them into four factors. One is the global economy, where goods and services and people and skills and ideas are traveling or freely moving across geographical boundaries. Globalization, following Second World War, we stepped into a globalized world where economies or countries were more interdependent, such that reduces the conflict. And then the rapid technological change, the way things are changing today are at much brisk pace than we've ever seen before, and increased importance of knowledge and people. So we'll discuss in detail each one of these. So global economy. Why is global economy important? Because it creates opportunities. However, it also creates challenges, because when goods, services, people, skills, ideas, abilities, capabilities, all these are freely moving across one another, so does competition. So when you have people who are willing to buy your products and services across these geographical boundaries, and you are able to provide to them, that's a new opportunity. While if you are a domestic player and other companies or firms or organizations that were operating elsewhere outside your geographical boundaries or domestic market, now can freely approach your market and try to sell to your consumers, so which is an increase in competition. Now in this 21st century, we are seeing new integrated markets, European Union. If you actually try to approach each of those smaller European nations, you would find a limited market, and it was not a great lucrative market, though there was spending power or purchasing power among those members of EU previously, because you had to jump through hoops and confine yourself to the regulations of each of these smaller nations, it was difficult and it was costly to enter into these markets. Now European Union has over 7 million potential consumers because of an integrated unit and one standard that the entire European follows, and it's a very lucrative market, and especially because the western part of the Europe, or Western Europe usually, which is again a part of EU, has purchasing power as well. So, and the free movement of goods across Europe made it very easy to approach these markets, and new markets or emerging markets, which were previously known as third world countries, have now become a powerful set of competitors and are producing Fortune 500 companies, multinational companies that are operating across the globe, and they are challenging incumbent firms from Western economies, and that's a new thing that we take into account. They're beneficial to some degree, and they're creating new challenges for incumbent firms. So there are new opportunities because of this 21st century economy or the globalized economy, and at the same time there are challenges where there is greater competition fueling hyper competition, and there are more number of players. Of course, there's going to be greater competition, and you have to be more efficient. So the next one is globalization. Basically, globalization is nothing but economies are interdependent, and basically why firms or organizations or countries supported this is because greater interdependence reduces conflict, as per research, and probably that is the reason, because of more integrated economies or more interdependent economies. That is the probable reason why we did not see a major conflict after World War II. So basically, globalization is a product of large number of firms competing against one another. Basically, firms are trying to compete across the globe rather than actually just looking at their domestic markets. They have a wider reach. This is kind of causing complexity, or they have to operate in a more complex environment than they previously used to. This is because of wide variety of tastes of consumers that are dispersed across the globe, and simultaneously regulations that firms have to follow or new standards for each economy. So that kind of increases complexity. So managers have to be aware of more number of things and are constrained by greater number of factors than they used to be. So, but however, there is an upside to it, because you have a huge opportunity. Rather than actually selling for few members within domestic economy, now you can actually sell it to larger economy. This allows firms to invest a great deal of money into their research and development, or increasing performance of their products, so that they appeal to a larger members, at the same time reducing the risk for firms. So how do you do it? Basically, firms are trying to exceed the expectations of their consumers through better services, better products, and when firms are able to do that and beat their competition to their consumers, so that will lead to excessive consumption of that particular product, increasing demands, returning above average results. So that's globalization. And this is a chart where one Boeing aircraft manufacturer one aircraft manufactured by Boeing creates these kind of jobs across the globe. These are not regular jobs. These are engineering jobs, not a low skilled but a high skilled set of jobs. So globalization kind of has, everybody has something in it. So basically this is kind of trying to show you that outsourcing does not mean basic outsourcing, such as low skilled manufacturing jobs or textile jobs or attending call centers. They include jobs, high skilled jobs such as aeronautical engineering jobs as well. Moving on. So technological change, what we are noticing today is rapid change of technology and technology turnover. If you actually look at a regular telephone, it took almost 26 years to change the design of the regular telephone. And today, compared to that, if you actually look at a product life cycle or how often your mobile set devices change, you will be astonished. Okay, it's the product life cycle from previously maybe about 15 to 20 years were the product life cycle. Okay, now that has shrunk to a year. So if you put in R&D, all the manufacturing, all the investment that you put into, you have to get it within the first 12 months. So which is a tremendous amount of pressure on the firms. At the same time, what you also have to understand is that there is a competitive premium. If you, for example, if you miss producing your product and bringing it to the market in this product life cycle, if you delay it slightly, you lose the market. So you have to beat your competitors to the market by bringing in your innovative high-end products or well-performing products to the market. And speed of innovation definitely is a competitive force, and basically it creates a competitive advantage. So it is one of the core capabilities that firms should possess. Then we need to address one terminology here, what we call as perpetual innovation, the pace at which new technologies replace old technology in a consistent manner. So that's one of the definitions. You will not be tested on that. So it is good to know what it means. And then now disruptive technology innovations. So basically what we are seeing in the marketplace is that firms are coming up with technologies that are so breakthrough, that are causing breakthroughs and creating new markets that previously did not exist. Before 2007, there was no market such as for applications, cell phone applications or other handheld device applications. We did not see that the market did not exist. However, a new market was created with Apple's iOS and your App Store. So a huge economic boost and a completely new market. So at the same time, some markets like because of iPhone and other mobile devices having an camera which is good or better than certain point and shoot cameras or equally good, has replaced digital cameras. People no longer use those cameras. And similarly, iPads and Wi-Fi, these have changed how we actually operate it. So they are destroying existing technology and creating new markets and new technologies. So in this phase, or the way the market is, what do firms need to do? They need to locate superior resources, acquire them, learn from their previous failures and successes, and learn from their competitors' successes and failures, continuously keep looking for things and learn, and also at the same time access to new technologies. You have to develop new technologies. If not, you have to buy them. So continuously keeping on top of all these things will give you a competitive advantage and let you survive in such a marketplace. The final part of it, knowledge intensity, or increasing focus on knowledge and knowledge intensity and technologies or people. So previously, back in the early part of the 18th, 19th century, especially when we were industrializing, until recent time, we always considered employees as some tools, and then we called those markets as labor markets, or usually a set of employees that a company employed was called labor, because they were performing tasks, and that is what their importance was limited to that. But today we call them human capital, because people are considered, or employees are considered valuable, because they possess knowledge, information, which is very useful and fundamental for organizational growth and success. People are becoming more important, and the knowledge possessed by them is becoming more important, especially when you looked at 1980s, 1970s, or any time before that. You valued a company based on the physical infrastructure that they had and all hard assets. We did not, the intellectual resources or intellectual property was of limited valuation, part of the valuation of the company. But today, in 21st century, majority of the companies are valued because of the intangible resources that they actually have. Compare to Ford, maybe in 1980s, 1990s, compared to today's Google, who had more physical infrastructure or physical assets, tangible ones. If you look at Google today, if you strip it up into parts and sell it, probably it wouldn't be valued at least at 1 to 2% of its value, if not for their intangible assets. Intangible assets become a large part of their asset portfolio, and most of the value is embedded within the knowledge and the intangible assets and their employees. So firms are going to great lengths to protect their intangible assets, also to retain their employees and ensure that the employees are happy and you're attracting the best talent out there. So this is a new market and a new phase of competition in which the firms and the organizations are operating. And we have to take into consideration numerous factors, including the 4 that we've actually mentioned. And that's about 21st century competitive landscape. Thank you.